I've been trading for nearly 7 years, and this year alone, I've already crossed over $1 million in trading profits. Every single trade was documented live on my second channel, Bread Trades. I've also helped hundreds of students become 6-figure funded traders, and in this video, I'm going to compress 7 years of brutal trading truth and lessons into this one video. In trading, you must be optimistic in your system but pessimistic in the trade outcome. That's the paradox that nobody talks about, which means that you need to be confident in your trade plan, but you need to be flexible enough to adjust your trade bias and your trade ideal when the market tells you to do so. Now, I've been trading for 7 years, and the truth is, most of the money that I've made is in the last 1 year. The past 6 years, losses, mistakes, blown up accounts. But now looking back, I realized that those years were the tuition that I had to pay to the market in order to build consistency. Now, to be honest, my secret isn't in some magical indicator or like a holy grail strategy. It's in showing up every single day, journaling, managing risks, following my system, reviewing the trades that I've taken. That's my secret, and that's how I become so goddamn successful, so damn good at what I do. Remember, profits aren't given, they are rented. And the rent is dual in the form of discipline every damn day. Every single amateur trader wants to turn $100 to $1 million. But that's exactly why they blow up their accounts. Like, the fastest way to blow up is to try to win faster. People think they will gamble their way up. But the truth is, if your habits are broken, more money in your account just means that you will blow up faster, and just means that you'll lose more money. So more money pretty much just amplify your losses. And I used to have this mindset where, you know what, I will manage risk when I have 100k. I will manage risk when I have $1 million in my account. No, you won't. Because the thing about habits is that they don't scale, they follow you along, right? So if you don't build the good habits right now, you let the bad habits creep in, you over leverage, you change trades, you force trades. Eventually, when you have a larger account, you're just going to keep doing the same thing which you did when you have a smaller account and just lose money faster and just lose more money. So stop chasing the $100 to $1 million. Learn how to protect the $100 first, because that's the only path that scales. When you know how to manage $100, you can eventually manage $10,000, eventually 100k, and eventually $1 million. But you can't just leap from this small account to the large account without preparing your mind psychologically so that you can handle this large amount of money, right? Because it's very different to risk 3 figures per trade, to 4 figures per trade, to 5 figures per trade, and it takes some time to build up that tolerance. But like I said, if you're not consistently profitable on a small account, you will just be compounding your losses on a big account. Any dumbasses can take a profit. Professionals know how to take losses. For the longest time, I will attach my identity, my self-worth to my P&L, which means that if I encounter a losing trade or like a losing streak, I start to feel like shit. I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like my trading strategy doesn't work. I feel like my parents were right when they actually doubted me to start doing this endeavor. And when that happens, you're always on this emotional roller coaster, right? Like, losses just destroyed me. Over time, I realized that losses are simply a cost of doing business. They are simply the price I have to pay to the market in order to get better at trading. And if I think back about my military days, a soldier doesn't predict every attack. He responds, and he responds fast, and he do everything he can to minimize damage. It's the same thing in trading. If you think about it, the only constant in the market is losing. Winning, impermanent, right? But losing is a constant. You can never get rid of losses. So you must do everything you can to minimize your losses so you can maximize your profits. And that's exactly how I treat losses right now. They are not good, they are not bad, they just are. And if you don't learn from them, then it's truly your loss. Like, it's a loss only if you don't learn from it. So this is why I always say, become a master at losing, because that's the only way you will ever win. When you start to get comfortable with losing and you start to lose cheaper, faster, and better, that's how you win in the long run. For all my losing traders out there, understand that trading is not linear, it's exponential. So if you quit after a losing streak, you don't last long enough to get a breakthrough moment, to reach the inflection point that allow you to get exponential growth in your equity curve. Now, I blew 7 accounts, failed 5 funded challenges, and lost over $10,000 of my life savings in my first 6 months of trading. And I thought I was done. But then I realized that my incompetence was a result of insufficient volume. You are not good enough because you haven't done enough. You're not consistent yet because you haven't put in the work. You haven't put in sufficient reps. So keep trading, keep journaling, keep collecting data, and keep refining your strategy. Over time, you will just get better. And understand that at the end of the day, consistency doesn't come from luck. It's not this lucky thing that can just manifest. It comes from persistence. That just keep going even when the market is throwing shit at you and you're not seeing any results whatsoever. But if you just keep going and you get better, 1% better every single day, eventually you are going to get so skewed that it's unreasonable that you do not profit from the market. Like, you are going to be so good that they can't ignore you. So remember, the only way to guarantee failure is to quit, which means that if you don't quit, you can't lose. Now, here's a controversial belief. There isn't a worse month to trade. There are only traders who can't adapt. Some months are slow, some months are volatile, some months are quiet, some months are bullish, some months are bearish, but your system needs to be robust enough to handle every single market condition. That's the only way you can play the long game in this game. Now, I used to overtrade a lot in quiet months out of boredom, out of the desire to make money, because I was actually like rushing to make as much money as fast as possible while putting in the least amount of effort possible. So as a result, I'll try to trade every single day, even though the market conditions were not ideal, even though it was an obvious low probability setup, but I would trade just because I wanted to make money. And nowadays, I realize that that is the wrong mindset. It's like when you start focusing on the money, right? You start fixating on just trading as much as possible rather than the quality of your execution, the quality of your setups. Ironically, you take worse trades, you lose more money, and you lose more of your time, energy, and attention, right? Because simply you're focusing on the wrong things. So nowadays, instead of focusing on predicting the market, I focus on identifying the cycle of the market. And once I identify the cycle of the market, I adjust my trading strategy accordingly, right, to the market. So I'm trading the market for what it is rather than what I think it's going to do or what I think it should be. I'm actually perceiving the objective reality of the market instead of my perception of what the market should be. Remember, trading isn't about timing the perfect month. It's about surviving every month. So the goal of a trader is not to beat the market. It's to outlast yourself so you can eventually have an edge in the long run. Pain is inevitable in trading. You either suffer the pain of patience or the pain of blowing up. One way ounce and the other way tons. Now, I used to rush into trades just to feel busy, just to feel productive. But then what I realized is every single account that I blown, it came from impatience. It came when I recklessly rushed into trades without following my trade plan. It came when I refused to let a good trade run to my TP. So understand that true patience isn't just sitting around. It's waiting for your A+ setup to appear and doing nothing in between. That's the hard part, doing nothing and just waiting. And it comes when you just let the trade run to your TP without micromanaging your stop loss or your take profit. And it also comes when you just put your head down and work even though you're not seeing any results whatsoever. But you just continue working, hoping that you can eventually get to the light at the end of the tunnel. That, my friend, is disciplined patience. Now listen, the market doesn't give a shit if you call yourself a day trader or an investor or a crypto trader. It cares if you follow your rules. Now, I personally have done all three, right? I've tried day trading, I've tried swing trading, I've tried long-term investing, I've tried position trading, I've tried scalping. Whatever it is, I've tried it all. And I realized that what matters isn't the label that you impose on yourself, but rather is aligning your style, your trading style, with your personality and your lifestyle. It's about finding out what works for you. Right? Not Tom, Dick, Harry, but what works for you. What fits into your obligations and your commitments. What fits into your personality. What aligns with your lifestyle. And the reason why a lot of traders fail is because they are copying someone else's approach. When you copy someone else's approach, number one, you lack conviction, right? Because you haven't done the work. You haven't put in sufficient reps to prove to yourself that that strategy actually works. That approach actually works. Number two, you are trying to fit your size into their cup, right? Like what I mean by that is that, for example, let's say you wear S, right, for your shirt, but then their size is M, right? So if that's the case, you are wearing the wrong size, right? But you are trying to like fit your underweight body into that oversized shirt. So it doesn't make sense. And number three is you're more likely to give up. when you copy someone else's edge. Because when someone else's edge stops working, you give up on it and you start hopping to the next strategy and the next strategy. And as a result, you continuously stay on the beginner level, right? Because you're always resetting your competence levels whenever you choose another strategy, whenever you hop onto like a new thing. So it kind of slows your progress in a way, right? So it's not really worth it to just copy someone else's strategy or approach blindly. It's much worthwhile if you just take the time out to figure out what works for you. Remember, trading is not a multiplayer game. It's a single player game. So the best strategy is not the one that is most profitable in the short term, but rather it's the one that you can execute with consistency in the long term. If I could only pick 3 instruments to trade for the rest of my life, I'll pick Nasdaq, NQ, gold, XAU USD, and Bitcoin. They are highly liquid, they are incredibly volatile, and they fit into the price action strategy that I trade, and most importantly, they provide sufficient setups without overwhelming me. Now, complexity kills simplicity skills. If you trade too many instruments, you're going to get distracted by too many things. And anything that does not move you closer towards your goal is simply a distraction, right? So instead of focusing on what you must do, focus on what you must delete and eliminate. It's like, if the cold shower doesn't make you profitable, doesn't make you think better when you're on the charts, then it is a distraction. If the meditation doesn't help you master your mental game of trading, then it is a distraction. If adjusting the candlestick colors on your charts doesn't make you profitable, then it is a distraction, right? So whatever doesn't bring you closer towards a goal, that's something that you have to sacrifice so that you can actually get closer towards your goal, right? So instead of thinking about what else you can add to your strategy, to your trade plan, to your watch list, think about what you can eliminate, right? Does that instrument benefit you? No. Are you profitable trading that session? No. Then don't trade during that session. Then don't trade those currencies. So double down on what works and cut what doesn't. Last month, I made $110,000 in only 3 trades. You heard that right, 3 trades. But that number hid years of losing, the blown accounts, the hours I spent collecting data. And I always like to have this saying, I ate shit for 7 years so that I can eat caviar for a lifetime. I work 10 times harder when nobody's watching compared to when everyone is watching, because I know that you are rewarded in public for the work done in private. It's like that saying, people want the results without paying the price. Everybody wants the view, but nobody wants the climb. It's like buying the new iPhone 17 and expecting to get it for free. It doesn't make sense. Like, if you want to get the iPhone, there is a price. And if you're not willing to pay the price, incur the cost of the iPhone, then you don't deserve the reward. You don't deserve to enjoy the iPhone. It's the exact same thing with trading. Like, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to go through hell. And ironically, it's going through hell that will actually get you to heaven. It's putting in so much reps that it's unbelievable. You do not have confidence and conviction in your strategy, which means that it's impossible you do not win. It's impossible you do not get lucky because you have put in so much volume, and volume negates luck. So understand that your P&L is simply a reflection of your discipline made visible in numbers. The market is simply a reflection of you. You're not as good as you think you are, because if you are, you would already be profitable. If you are, you would already be managing $100,000. If you are, you will already be making 10K per month consistently. But if you're not, then take some time to reflect, why don't you deserve the money? Because in life, you don't get what you want, you get what you deserve. And the reason why you're in this situation right now is because you put yourself there. No one else put yourself there. You put yourself there. It took me 7 years to become a full-time trader. The first 6, like what I mentioned earlier, were pain and suffering. The 7th year gave me total freedom. Now I can enter into any shop and buy whatever I want, whether that's a new car or a new watch. And I can enter into any restaurant and just order whatever I want without caring about the price of each item on the menu. That, my friend, is total freedom. That is true financial freedom, and that only comes on the 7th year. That only comes after I've been eating and devouring shit for the past 6 years. Most traders overestimate their competence and underestimate how long it takes to build conviction, trust your system, and master your mindset. I always say that you should set big, hairy, audacious goals, right? Like, set those big-ass goals, 10x goals, right? Become a millionaire trader. Retire your parents. Yes, those are the goals that you have to set. But understand that you cannot have a deadline to achieve those goals. It's like, I want to become a millionaire in 6 months. Unrealistic. I want to become a millionaire in 30 years. Okay, that sounds pretty reasonable, right? So extend your time horizon. Do not set a deadline for yourself and just focus on getting better every single day. Because when you get better every single day, you focus on becoming a skilled trader, focus on executing your edge consistently, focus on reviewing your trades so that you can really gather so much data. Then eventually the results will come. Eventually the P&L will come. Eventually you are going to achieve your greatest goals of becoming a millionaire trader, retiring your parents. But it's not going to come today. It might not come tomorrow. It might not come in the next 3 years. Are you okay with that? Because the person who's okay with that, the person who can just endure all the adversities, that's the person who wins. Because he just doesn't quit. He's just unstoppable, right? So like I mentioned earlier, trading isn't linear. It's exponential. So you want to just stick through the losing years, right? So that eventually the breakthrough will come, right? So that eventually you get that one big trade that pays off the remaining losing trades that you have taken. Now, when I started trading, I had a lot of people naysaying against me. My parents told me to just go to university, just get a 9-to-5 job, and just go down the safe path. My friends told me it was too risky, and I even had a relative who told me that I could not succeed, right straight off my face. And I took all of those insults personally, and I used the doubts as fuel. And I realized that they are right today. They might be right tomorrow, right? Because I wasn't seeing results. I was trading so long, but I just couldn't figure it out, right? I was just, every time I pull out my MetaTrader 4, it was just read. And then I'll blow my account, start over again, read again, and start over again. And they were right. You're right that I'm not going to succeed. And all of these doubts could just impair me and just paralyze me from doing shit. But what I realized is that they are 99% right, but they're 100% wrong. They're right today, they're right tomorrow, they might be right next week, but eventually I will succeed. The best way to get back at them, right, the best way to prove them wrong is to become so good at that skill set that they can't ignore you. Is to become so profitable at trading that it makes them regret them ever doubting you. Success is the only revenge. There is no other revenge. Success is the only revenge. Now, going to the gym will not make you profitable instantly, but it sure as hell will optimize your trading performance. Because your P&L is simply a reflection of your emotional state. And your body directly affects that emotional state. It fuels that emotional state, which means that if you want to go onto the markets with a clear, focused, and calm mind, you need to first strengthen your body and just put your body through countless of challenges, obstacles, adversities, so that it can endure, so they can bring that endurance onto the market. Now, back when I was inconsistent with training, right? Sometimes I would go to the gym, sometimes I'll skip the gym because I don't feel like it, and then I was eating junk food, and then when I do go to the gym, I would just carry the lightest weights, just do the bare minimum, right? Not even get my heart rate up, I'm just whatever. And I realized that period of time, I was also inconsistent in trading. Because of my inconsistency in training, I was inconsistent in trading. And that is when I realized that the gym isn't just making me stronger physically, but it's making me stronger mentally. It keeps me disciplined, it gives me mental clarity, and it builds the resilience to just sit through losing streaks and drawdowns after drawdown. So to me, going to the gym is not about building the bicep or getting six-pack abs. Rather, it's about building the identity of someone who shows up regardless of how he feels. Nowadays, every single day, I go into the cold shower and I'm scared of shit. I'm always I don't really want to do it, but just turn on the cold shower and I just do it anyways. Because by doing that, you are training your body to just go when you say you want to go. And it's the same thing with the markets. When I go to the markets, if I want to enter for this trade without hesitation, reservation, or fear, I want to just do it. Without oh, maybe it's not going to work out. You know what? Maybe I lost the past one trade. Maybe I should just stay out of this one. No, just go. And that's what training every single day and just pushing your body outside of your comfort zone every single day does to your body and your mind. Remember, a strong body fuels a strong mind. And a strong mind is the only edge that lasts in the markets. It's not a strategy, it's not your risk management, it is, it's all of these things together, but most importantly, it's a strong mind. Prop firms are like giving you a Ferrari with a fuel cap of 50 kilometers. Most traders blow it up before they even hit the highway, right? Before even they take it off the parking lots. Now, bear in mind that I failed 5 prop firm challenges before I even passed one. And when I eventually passed that one prop firm challenge, I lost the funding in 1 month. And it's not because I didn't know how to trade. I knew how to analyze the charts. I was quite proficient at price action analysis. But it's because I couldn't control my risk and manage my emotions. The truth is, you simply just can't shortcut the process. Like, it took me a few months to master technicals, but it took me a few years to master myself. You can't rush the process. Like, you have to give it time. No matter how good you get at analyzing the charts, the market will always humble you if you haven't maintained a proper emotional equilibrium. Remember, if you can't manage your own money, then you won't be able to manage theirs. You won't be able to manage 100k in funding if you can't even grow your small $1,000 account consistently. It's simply an illusion. And this is why prop firms have like a 95% success rate, because 95% of traders fail, right? It's a very profitable business model, right? So before you even think about getting funded, make sure you have a consistent profitable track record. Because if you don't, you're just going to lose your prop firm fee, right? It's not worth it. So quite simply put, prop firms will not make you disciplined. They expose if you already are or are not. Everyone says the market is harder today. I say it's never been easier. Now more than ever, you got access to technology, data, platforms, and education everywhere. 10 years ago, you couldn't get a world-class trading course on YouTube for free. And I literally have like a 10-hour free course on my YouTube. How insane is that? 50 years ago, you have to literally dial your broker to place a buy or sell position. And 30 years ago, you have to literally print out the charts in order for you to review and journal and learn from your mistakes. Now you got like technology to help you to do that. You even got softwares that automate journaling. But what you don't realize is that this abundance of information is also a double-edged sword. Information is everywhere, but distractions are also everywhere. You pull up Instagram, you saw that fake guru with his Lamborghini. Oh, I want to learn that strategy. You pull up YouTube, you pull up Twitter, you saw this professional trader just tweeted that this meme coin is going to explode in the next 10 years. Oh, you know what? I'm going to buy that meme coin, right? You go to YouTube, you see ICT videos are trending. Oh, I'm going to study ICT concepts. Distractions are everywhere now, and that's the problem. The problem isn't access to information. The problem is discipline, to just stay on your path and ignoring everything else. But the person who can just stay laser focused on one thing, that's the person who can go very far in this game. And if you feel like you're getting information overload from all this abundance of information, all these different strategies, all these different trading styles, all these different trading mentors, my friend, you're not suffering from information overload. You're suffering from inaction underload. You're not doing sufficient volume to gather sufficient data to prove that your strategy actually works. That is why you hesitate before you enter for the trade. That is why you don't feel confidence in your edge. It's not more information. You don't need more courses. You don't need more lessons. You need more structure, more order, and more reps. Success in trading isn't built on the trades that you see. It's built on the routines that you don't see. It's not about what you do when everybody is watching. It's about what you do when no one is watching. So my day starts with around 6:30 a.m. I'll go to meditate, and then I would journal my trades that I've taken yesterday. I will review my trade plan. I will prepare my charts when the London session opens. Now, most people think that millionaire traders are glued to the charts all day, 24/7 hours per day. But that's not the truth. The truth is, I spend more time off the charts than on the charts. I spend more time reviewing my trades, journaling, preparing my mind for trading, preparing my charts so I can spot the opportunities, identifying the point of interest, spotting liquidity, than actually trading alone. And the reason why I spend so less time on the charts is because I've done all of this preparation and I know exactly what is the price point that I want to enter at. When I go onto the charts, I simply just wait for price to get to that price point, see my entry model, and I just execute. And that takes 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, right? Sometimes even 5 minutes to 30 minutes. Like you can see, it's so fast for me to actually make the money. But what I fail to see is the preparation in order for me to make that money so fast, right? It's like all of this work that I put in behind the scenes, right? So I always say, for every hour that you spend on technical analysis, spend 2 times that amount of time on internal analysis, right? What are the mistakes that you keep on committing over and over again? what do you do wrong, right? What can you learn from this trade? How can you improve? How can you get better so that you don't commit this same mistake again in the future? All of this stuff, you should be taking the time out to just reflect and just think about them. Because when you spend the time off the charts thinking about this stuff, ironically, these are the stuff that will provide you with the most amount of information about your trading so that you can refine your trading strategy, refine your edge that will actually allow you to get outsized returns. So yeah, my friend, just gonna touch some grass, right? Spend some time off the charts so that you can eventually be more profitable when you go back on the charts. Moving your stop loss to break even too early is like pulling a flower out of the soil and checking if it's growing. It's just bloody stupid. I used to move my stop loss to break even every single time I was in profit. And then over time, I realized that price always stop me out, get me out at break even, and then move in the profit. Nowadays, I only move my stop loss to break even when the market structure justifies it. When I see there's like a protected low or high that has been formed, right? That swing low or high that has swept liquidity and led to a break of structure. When the market structure justifies it, that is the only time I'll move my stop loss. If not, if there is no clear structural low, protected low or high being formed, I will not move my stop loss. That's the mechanical rule that I stick to, no matter what. And if you think about it fundamentally, why do you actually move your stop loss to break even? It's so that you can avoid pain. It's so that you can avoid the pain of losing the trade, losing your hard-earned money, so that you can actually protect your ego. Now that I've operationalized it, you realize that all you need to do is to just follow the process. Because your goal as a trader is not to protect your ego, it's not to be wrong, but it's to make money. It's to make a shit ton of money. So if moving your stop loss to break even doesn't allow you to make more money, then you shouldn't be moving your stop loss to break even. Word of advice, whenever you're about to move your stop loss to break even, ask yourself, are you moving it because you are scared? Or are you actually moving it because your rules tell you to do so? If the answer is the latter, then you move it. If it's not, if it's based on your emotion, your fear, your afraidness, then don't move it. Now, a lot of people imagine my life to be Lamborghinis and sitting on a beach in Bali, sipping margaritas, but it's not. It's incredibly boring on purpose because I know it's the boring, mundane, repetitive tasks that I do for an extended period of time, which allows me to be one of the greatest traders alive. Or I aspire to be. So basically, I wake up around 6:30 a.m., make my bed, wash up, and I'll go and meditate for like 5 minutes to 15 minutes, depending on what I have for the day. After that, I'll do like a few hours of deep work all the way until 12 p.m., which is lunchtime, right? So until lunchtime, I do not eat anything. I practice intermittent fasting, which allows me to stay shredded and also allows me to have great mental clarity and great focus when I actually have my first deep work block. After my first deep work block, what happens is that from 12 p.m. to around 2 p.m., this is where I'll start preparing my charts, right? Scanning for trading opportunities. Because once 3 p.m. hits, right? Which is usually the time that I come back from the gym, right? I usually go to the gym around 2 p.m. 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., that's gym, right? That is where I hit heavy push-pull legs, right? Shoulders, bicep, triceps, chest, back, whatever. And then once I have the intense training, 3 p.m., that is the time that I actually start trading. Which means that from 1 p.m. to around 3 p.m., I want to be preparing my charts, right? I want to be analyzing the charts. I want to be marking my point of interest, identifying my trade idea, the trend direction, spotting what's the available liquidity, so that 2 p.m. when I go to the gym, I can just like not care about the charts. And then when I come back from the gym, I can just straight away scan for the trading opportunity to see whether price has entered into my point of interest, whether my entry model has formed. Once my criteria has been met, I found a trade setup which meets every single one of the criteria within my trade plan, checks off every single box there, then I will enter without reservation, without hesitation, without guesswork, without emotion whatsoever. But if there's no opportunity, which is more often than not, right, since I focus on quality execution rather than quantity of the trades that I take, I just stay off the market. Like honestly, I just stay off the market. And then that will take place from 3 p.m. to around 5 p.m. During this period of time, usually I just fill it with meetings, right? Because I've got a lot of meetings across my different companies, 1% Club, Edge Flow. Because it's like towards the end of the day, right? My energy has kind of go down, right? So it's like I'll much be better off just spending that time going on meetings, right? Instead of doing deep work. So bombarded with meetings from around 3 p.m. all the way until like 6 to 7 p.m. And then I have dinner, and then I eat clean, and I drink sufficient water, and then I sit on my recliner, which is overlooking like the entire city view with the sea view of Singapore, and I just read a book or listen to like a podcast, and I just wind down, and I'll just go to sleep around 10 p.m. to around 11 p.m. and I'll wake up without an alarm clock and do it all over again, right? And to be honest, it's boring, it's mundane, but I love every single minute of it. Like, to be honest, I feel so fulfilled. I feel this huge sense of accomplishment at the end of each day because I've done my best for that day and I've left nothing on the table. And that's, to me, a perfect day, right? So you can see the excitement isn't like for my day-to-day life. It's in the compounding results over years. It's like these boring routines, these boring days allow me to live an exciting life. Like when I go and travel and I hang out with my friends, my team, we do some crazy shit. Like we can literally go on to the restaurant and just order as much Wagyu steak as possible on the table. And then we can go and shoot paintball. We can go and have a lot of fun together, right? Do cool shit together for like a week, right? But that is the reward for like the boring day to day, right? Like the exciting parts of my life, the most memorable experiences comes after I've put in the work and I've deserved it. I've earned the right to enjoy myself. And that is why when I do enjoy myself during these periods of vacations or company trips, I can just enjoy myself without any obligation, without any like hesitation whatsoever. I can just fully be in the present moment with my team, with my friends, with my family, without caring about work, because I've already done sufficient work to justify the reward. So remember, it's all about doing like the boring shit that nobody likes to do for an extended period of time that will make you successful. It's the reviewing, the journaling, the taking the trades, the data collection, the front testing, the forward testing, the just continuously refine and improve your trade plan, the mental work, the meditation, all this boring shit, so that you can do the cool shit. A lot of people always ask me, how long did it take for me to become consistently profitable? And I always answer them, consistency doesn't take months. It takes years of reps and discipline. Like I said earlier, it's doing the same old boring shit every single day without fail for the next 3 to 5 years. Are you willing to pay the price? If not, then you don't deserve the reward. For me, it took me 3 years to become consistently profitable. In the first 3 years, I was blowing accounts, I was losing money. I was actually making quite a lot of money like here and there, right? Getting outsized returns, making 10K, making 5K, making 3K here and there. But it wasn't consistent. It wasn't month after month. It wasn't quarter over quarter. It wasn't year over year, right? So as a result, I would just be stuck in this boom and bust cycle where I'll grow my account, I'll lose the money, I'll grow the account again, lose the money, and I'll blow the account, go back to level 1, go back to baseline, go back to 0, and I'll try to grow the account, blow the account again. So it was like a lot of inconsistency. And now looking back, I realized that the only thing that changed was that I stopped trying to be a hero and I started trying to be consistent. What I mean by that is that I stopped trying to flip the account from $100 to 100K, but I started focusing on mastering the skill set. Focus on becoming more proficient on the charts. Focus on mastering my emotions, developing self-control, developing the equanimity that is required to detach from the outcome. That's the only change. I stopped trying to do all the fancy shit which could potentially make me rich in one day, and I just started focusing on the shit which stays a little bit worse that will make me profitable in the long run. And that is just doing the work. Because at the end of the day, the work just needs doing. And anything else that is not the work, right, might bring you short-term profits, might bring you short-term results, might make you feel happy in the short term, right? It might give you like this spike in dopamine levels, but it will always crash. It will always come down like a house of cards. Because once again, you haven't built the mindset that is needed to manage your emotions in real time when your hard-earned money is on the line. You haven't built the risk management parameters that is required to minimize your loss and maximize your profits. You haven't developed a unique edge that works for you, that you can trust when you encounter losing streaks. And you haven't done the self-work necessary to overcome your demons that will prevent you from self-sabotaging yourself, giving your profits back to the market over and over again. So stop trying to be a hero. Start doing the work that is necessary Not your best, right? But it's necessary, that is required to become profitable, right? So like I said, don't just do your best. The market doesn't give a shit about your best. Do what's required. Because when you do what's required, the market will reward you for it. So stop asking me how long it will take for you to become profitable. Because it will take as long as you keep avoiding the hard work. Your choice. If I had to start all over again, the first thing I would do to reach 7 figures is not to chase 7 figures, but to chase 7 habits. When I started trading, I always obsessed over money, over the outcome. Because if I make money, it means that I'm actually good at this. And if I'm actually good at this, I can finally prove to the people that doubted me that I was right in my decision to pursue this full time. But money doesn't come from shouting affirmations in the mirror. It comes from building the confidence to trust your edge. It comes from developing the skill set of a professional trader. So you want to build these 7 habits: journaling, reviewing your trades, managing risks, controlling your emotions, executing rules, which is following your trade plan, focusing on 1 to 2 instruments, and just showing up every single day. If you can just stack these 7 habits for 7 years, there is no chance you will not become a millionaire trader and achieve 7 figures. So that's my 7-year rule, right? It's like just do these 7 habits for the next 7 years and ignore everything else, you will achieve 7 figures. And the ironic thing is, when you have done these 7 habits for the next 7 years, you have become the person who is worthy of the 7 figures. Because now, you are trading like a professional trader. You are thinking like one. You act like one and you feel like one. And when you change your emotional state, you change your outcome. When you change your personality, you change your personal reality. Right? So it all comes from changing your state of mind, changing your identity, changing your habits, so they can get the actions that will get you the results. That's all it is. There's no such thing as the best trader in the world. And here's why. Because trading is not a finite game with winners and losers. It's an infinite game. A finite game is basically like football. In football, there are fixed rules, fixed players, and a clear endpoint. There's 2 teams, there's 90 minutes, there's 1 winner. That's a finite game, which means someone has to lose in order for someone to win. But trading is infinite. The rules are constantly evolving. The players are always changing. And there is no finish line whatsoever. Which means that you can't just win trading. Like just because you make $1 million in trading doesn't mean you win the markets. Because the only way to win an infinite game is to stay in the game. Is to just keep trading. Now, staying in the game means protecting your capital, managing your downside, and avoiding the blowups that will take you out of the game. Because once you run out of chips and you're out of the game, you can't come back. You have to have chips in order to play the game. You can't play the game if you don't have capital. And the thing is, even the legendary traders lose. Ray Dalio lose money, Carl Icahn lose money, Paul Tudor Jones, George Soros, they all lose trades from time to time because the market humbles everyone. No matter your skill level, no matter your experience level, it will humble you. So the question isn't who's the best today, who's the best tomorrow. It's who can stay disciplined enough to still be here tomorrow. The market doesn't have a podium. It only has survivors. Chris Camillo turned $20,000 to $42 million using this strategy called social arbitrage trading, which means that he's trading based on TikTok comments. But here's what most people don't tell you. Stories like this are incredibly rare for a reason. This is called survivorship bias. Because for every Chris Camillo, there are thousands of traders who blow up using the exact same strategy. So if you chase their story, you'll probably end up broke. But if you chase your process, you will end up free. So once again, it's not about looking around, looking left and right to see what Tom is doing, what Harry is doing, what Dick is herring, but rather just finding out what works for you, finding out the unique edge, and then just continue building up on that edge. It's social arbitrage trading for Chris Camillo. It's market mechanics for Brett Gold. It's ICT concepts from ICT, right? It's like you just want to find that one strategy that works for you and just go all in on that and just burn like the proverbial boats and just not turn back, right? Just like ditch everything else and just go all in on that one thing. Because eventually when you find that one thing that works for you, is all about how you can squeeze that one thing as much as possible. Like, I view everything as input and output equation. Input is the things that you need to put in. Output is the things that you will get out because of what you have put in, right? So if you think about it in this way, input equal output. So if you find the thing that works for you, right, your input, just do as much as you can on that thing, right? Just spam that button as much as possible so you can get as much output as possible, which is the money that you will make from the thing that you are doing, right? So input versus output. If you want to make more profits, you have to put in more input. You have to focus your energy on the right things that will actually get you the consistent profits, which is usually a consistent set of actions, because consistent actions leads to consistent profits. There is no other way to get consistent profits. You can't expect to get consistent profits if you're constantly hesitating, frustrated, resenting the market, blaming the market, and your actions is always inconsistent, right? 1 + 1 = 2, right? That is not 1 + 1 = 3. Input equal output. So don't copy someone else's outcome. Don't copy someone else's edge. Copy the discipline that created it and find your own edge. Flipping small accounts is like gambling in a casino. You might win in the short term. You might win tonight, right? You might hit a blackjack. You might win the roulette wheel, whatever. But you will go broke in the long term. And here's why. Now, believe me, I used to be like a big fan of flipping small accounts. I tried it myself in my first year. My best record was turning $500 into $10,000 in 3 days. Do you know how invincible I felt when I do that? Knowing that I've just turned $500 into 10K, $500 which I earned from waiting tables, into $10,000, right? Like, that's the first time I got a taste of what real big money actually look like and taste like. Now, bear in mind that I was working as a minimum wage back then, right? I was earning $7 per hour. So to realize that I just turned $500 into $10,000 in 3 days, that's the craziest shit I've ever felt in my life. But then the next day, I blew it all. I blew it all, and I just cried, and I just punched my pillow. I even think about using a baseball bat to smash my monitor, but I know that if I did smash the monitor, I would not have any money to get a new monitor, so I did not do that. I did not let the emotion get control of me. That day when I lost everything is the day where I realized that I needed to change what I was doing, because this was just not sustainable. Like, yes, I could turn $500 to 10K and get these outsized returns and outside gains in like a short amount of time, but it's not sustainable. And at the end of the day, it's not about making money. It's about whether you can keep the money that you have made. So if you can turn $1,000 to 100K, but you can't keep it in your bank account, you can't withdraw it, you can't touch it physically, then what the hell is the point, right? You pretty much just fueled your ego with nothing to show for. So that was the day where I realized that I needed to start learning about trading psychology. I needed to start managing my risk. I needed to develop a strategy that is mechanical, that is rule-based, that has fixed risk parameters, that is boring but actually works in the long run. Since then, I've never thought about like trying to flip small accounts to large accounts anymore. Like, I've just been focused on just scaling my account the right way, right? Just getting 5% to 10% per month by following my mechanical trading system and just letting that 5% to 10% per month compound over time, right? Because that's what's sustainable, that's what keeps me in the game, that's what allows me to be consistently profitable month after month. So if you think about it in the stock market context, we have the dividend stocks, right? The dividend stocks are like Coca-Cola, Apple, Charles Schwab, dividend ETF, right? So like bonds, right? It's like boring investments that will not get outsized returns and go up 100%, 500% overnight like Tesla or like Bitcoin, right? It's just those safe stocks. But what they do very well is that they provide you with dividends. Dividends that will actually pay for your vacations, right? It's like these boring stocks pay you boring dividends to live an exciting life. So that is why I mean boring works, boring pays. Boring pays for your freedom. So find a strategy that seems incredibly boring. That's probably the strategy that you want to be using. And I always have this concept that if your strategy can't survive 100 trades, it will not survive 1 year. If you can't explain your strategy in 3 sentences, you don't have a strategy to begin with. You have an abomination. Like for me personally, the 3 sentences would be, I analyze the charts on the higher time frame to determine my trend direction. I define my point of interest on the medium time frame. I look for my entry models upon the mitigation of the point of interest on my lower time frame. That's it. 3 sentences, mechanical strategy, rule-based criteria, positive expectancy model. That's how I win. Just by doing the boring stuff for like a very long time and just like sticking to it without looking for the next shiny strategy and just getting attracted to novelty. Now, everyone wants to know what's the fastest way to become profitable in trading. But the fastest way is the slowest way. It's like that saying, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. The fastest way to become consistently profitable is to build a mechanical system, backtest 100 times, take 100 trades on a demo account and ideally on a live account, journal every single trade, review every single trade, find out what works and what doesn't work, do more of what works, less of what doesn't, and then just keep doing this cycle over and over again until you get competent. Once you get competent, you focus on consistency, not profits. That's the fastest way. That's literally the fastest way. That is the shortcut to success in trading. And it took me so long to realize that. Because like, I wasted years chasing trading signals, finding the holy grail strategy, searching for the trading guru that would make me profitable. But now thinking back, I was like, why did I just spend those years focusing on the stuff that actually works, the stuff that will guarantee me becoming successful, right? Which is those stuff that I just mentioned, those steps right there. Because like once I built my own mechanical rules and I just stick to them and just not deviate them, no matter I win, no matter I lose, and just focus on executing my edge to the best of my ability, that is where profits started coming fast. That is where I start seeing exponential results. So like, stop trying to spend all your time and energy finding the fastest way to become profitable when the fastest way to become profitable is to just start. Right? Like, everybody's searching for the perfect condition. Everybody's waiting for all the stars to align to just start trading when the perfect condition is to just start. The fastest way is to just start and just figure it out based on trial and error. And then just, once you figure it out, and just do more of that and just eliminate whatever that doesn't work. That's the fastest way. Now, my best advice for beginner traders is to simply do more reps. Volatility is a symptom of insufficient volume. That is why I mentioned that incompetence is a result of doing insufficient reps. Now, I'll give you a simple example. So let's say there's this trading guru, 18-year-old kid on Instagram that you just scrolled upon, right? And he's trying to sell you to join his signal group. He rented his Ferrari for the day, right? He is the lifestyle guru, whatever. And then there's me, who have put in the reps, who have a verified track record, who have 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And he's not selling you any signal group or what bullshit, whatever. Because I actually trade for a living. Who would you rather trust? Would you rather trust that 18-year-old kid who have no skin in the game, right? No track record, but just good at marketing? Or would you rather trust the guy who have a track record, who have done exactly what he's said he's gonna do, who practices what he preach, and has evidence to show you that he is indeed good at what he does? Which guy would you rather trust? This guy. I don't know about you, but I would trust this guy. Because this guy, he has actually put in sufficient reps to prove that he is indeed competent. And that evidence is what gave me confidence to trust him. It's the exact same thing in your trading. If you think about it, in order to become profitable at trading, you need to trust your edge and trust yourself. But how can you trust yourself when you don't have confidence in yourself? And you can't build confidence just by blindly shouting affirmations in the mirror and just visualizing the Lamborghini in the garage. No, it doesn't work that way. It comes when you put in so much reps that you have no choice but to become confident. So conviction comes from confidence, and confidence comes from consistency. So do more reps. So the answer to this question is that it depends on individual to individual. It might take some traders 2 years to become profitable. It might take some 5 years. It might take some 10 years. And it really depends on how fast you can remove your blind spots. How fast you can review all your trades and find out what are the stuff that you commit over and over again. What are the mistakes that you tend to repeat? And just how fast can you like replace or rather eliminate those mistakes? Because intelligence is defined as the speed of implementation, the speed of action. So if you're able to just eliminate these mistakes as fast as possible, then you'll become profitable faster. Because every single mistake that you fix is one less way to blow up. Right? So it's like instead of focusing on what are the next thing that you can do, just focus on reducing the mistakes. Because when you reduce the mistakes, you automatically make less mistakes, which means that you lose less money, which means that you automatically make more profits. And if I just reflect upon my trading career, I realized that I only got consistent when I became obsessed with reviewing my mistakes. I still remember, like, after my 9 to 5 job, right? Every single day, I'll go to the train station, the subway, right, just to commute back home. And I'll pull out my iPad, right? And on the subway, it will always be like crowded because it's like the peak hour and everybody has just ended work from the business district. So everybody's on like the subway, right? So it's like crowded and there's like no place to sit. But what I'll always do, without fail, every single day, is to take out my iPad and just look at every single trade that I've journaled. And just like go and analyze, why did I get stopped out on this trade? And why did I keep on losing? Why do I keep on repeating this same mistake? And based on that constant introspection and analysis of my mistakes, I realized that I'm always repeating the same mistakes. So if I can just stop doing this mistake, I would just stop losing. Or rather, I would lose less. And then I realized that based on all this data, these are the stuff that works, these are the stuff that doesn't work, and I just eliminated everything that doesn't work. And when I eliminated everything that doesn't work, I didn't become profitable overnight. But I became one step closer to becoming profitable because I had just lose less money. I had just get up to the stage of break even. And now, even though I'm not consistently profitable yet, I was one step closer to becoming profitable because at least I was no longer repeating the same mistakes. At least I wasn't losing money every single day, right? So it's like those periods of introspection led me to my greatest breakthrough. Which means that if I can just do more of those, right? Once again, input-output equation. If I can just do more reviewing, then I can just get more breakthrough. And if I can get more breakthrough, then I would know what works. And that gives me the confidence to just continue to execute my plan and continue to just refine and improve my strategy and my edge. So quite simply put, you don't need more time. You don't need more courses. You need more reps. You need more reviews. You need more introspection. If I could just change one thing about the trading industry, it would probably be the guru culture. The trading industry sells dreams, but it hides the pain that is required to earn them. If you think about it, every single trader, they only show the good side on social media, right? That's their tendency. Obviously, they want to show the good side, the wins, the profits, the chains. But they don't show you the losses that they incurred in order to get those wins. They don't show you the price that you have to pay in order to get those wins. Like for example, if this guy made 100K on a trade, cool. But how much money did he lose before he made the 100K? How much did he risk in order to make the 100K? Because he might make 100K on this trade, but what he didn't show you is the $400,000 that he have lost. And if you look at it from like the grand scheme of things, from like a bird eye view, you realize that this guy is actually not profitable. He's just showing you the 100K win, but he's hiding the 400K loss. And that's what left like a bad taste in my mouth. Like in general, I just hate the guru culture. I rented the Lambo for the day, I flex my demo profits, buy my signal, like sort of bullshit marketing. So yeah, if I could just change one thing, I would just strip the entire trading industry of that noise and just force people to show their results and just provide real education. Trading is already difficult enough. The industry makes it even more difficult by lying to people with like this shiny facade. So the game doesn't need more hype, it needs more truth. And that's what drove me to actually create this video, is to just show as much truth as possible and allow you to shine the light to the real side of professional trading. Yes, the market is rigged against traders, but not in the way that you think. The market is neutral, just like a referee in a soccer game. What's rigged is your psychology. Stop hunts, volatility, market manipulation, liquidity sweep. All this does is to expose your weaknesses. It's to expose who you are at a deeper level. It's to expose your flawed strategy. Now, last time whenever I got stopped out, I used to think that brokers, smart money are out to get me. Like, oh, they know where I'm placing my stop loss. That's why I keep losing, right? It's like they have this unseen advantage on me. How can I win at a game that is rigged against me, right? That was my constant self-talk in my first year. But then I realized that where I point my blame finger is where the power goes. So if I'm actually blaming the broker, the smart money, the hedge funds, which is things that is outside of my control, I'm continuously relinquishing power to them. I'm giving them the power, which means that I will never actually become profitable because I haven't taken the power back myself. I haven't taken responsibility for my trades. I haven't taken extreme ownership over my life. So it's like, if I can't change what they're gonna do, because like they're just gonna continue manipulating the market, continue stop hunting, right? If I can't change that, then what can I really change? Well, my actions. The way that I show up to the charts every single day, the way that I actually manage my risk, the way that I actually control my emotions in real time. All of this stuff that are within my control. So instead of pointing the blame finger at them, I point it back at me. I realized that, okay, I shouldn't be blaming the external circumstances. I shouldn't be blaming my parents for being poor. I should just start taking extreme ownership over my life. And when that happens, everything started changing. Because now, I actually have the power to change my destiny. I actually have the power to shape my own life. And that is where I just like becoming incredibly, brutally honest with how I trade. And I just reviewed everything and I realized that, yeah, you're right. It wasn't the market's fault. It was my fault. It was my fault for chasing setups when there's no opportunities. It was my fault for revenge trading after a losing streak. It was my fault for placing my stop loss at the price point where all the other retail traders are placing their stop loss. It's all my fault. And once I took extreme ownership and once I like stopped having this victim mentality, I just decided to play the game. Because in life, you can either play the victim or you can play the game. And you might as well play the game. The best way to become profitable at trading is to stop trying to be a hero and start trying to be consistent. Because consistency beats intelligence in trading. Don't try to outsmart the market, right? Because the market is a force to be reckoned with. You will never ever be able to be smarter than the market. Trying to outsmart the market is like trying to play a game that you can't win. You just can't. There is no way you can be smarter than the market. So instead, put all your time, your energy, your attention, your focus on building a process that you can execute over and over again, consistently, without deviation whatsoever. That is how you're able to put the odds in your favor. That is how you can really have like a higher probability of winning the trade, right? Of staying in the game. That's what makes you profitable. Not trying to predict the trade outcome, but by executing your trade plan consistently and letting your edge play out over the law of large numbers, over a large sample size of trades. That's what makes you profitable. That is indeed the fastest way. The goal of a trader isn't to get outsized returns. It's to make the best trades, because the money follows as a byproduct of that. Now, my trading routine is incredibly simple. It consists of pre-market preparation, trading, and post-market review, right? Pre-market preparation is where I analyze the charts, spot my trading opportunities, mark up my high probability point of interest, plan my trade ideal, and set my alerts. And then when it comes to trading, I just wait for my alert to get triggered, or wait for price to get to my desired point of interest, and then I zoom down to the lower time frame, spot my entry model, get extra confirmation. Once I see those entry confirmation, I enter the trade. If there's no entry confirmation, I just wait until it presents itself. And then after I'm done trading, that is where I would journal every single trade I've taken for the day, review every single one of them. If it's a loss, I find out why did I commit this mistake? How can I improve? How can I get better? If it's a win, I think about what could I have done better to make this trade, right? Maybe refine the entry, refine the exit. And how can I repeat this win again in the future? And that's it. That's pretty much my entire trading routine, right? And I realized that the edge isn't in the live trading portion. It isn't in the time where you are constantly looking at the market. It's in the preparation, the pre-market routine, and it's in the review, right? The post-market review. The best traders win before the market even opens because they have done sufficient preparation and review to know that what price, at what time, at what place is the most ideal entry point. The biggest lie trading gurus sell is that you can get rich quick without pain. Gurus, they sell the highlight reel, right? They show you all like the flashy marketing shit. But what they don't show you is the 7 accounts blown, the years of frustration, the endless cycle of blowing accounts over and over again, the late nights crying over the charts. I live that. And the reason why I can describe every single one of that situation in such a vivid manner is because I've been through all of that. There were days where I was plagued with self-doubt, not knowing whether I'm going to pay the bill this month because I've just lost everything on that one trade. There were days where I worried about returning my dad the money that I've lent from him to trade. There were days where I just feel like I was not going to make it. I was constantly impaired with resentment, frustration, despair, and I just feel like I just couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like I was just blindfolded and I just couldn't see any light whatsoever. Those were the days. Those are the days. Like now looking back, those are the good old days, but those were the days where were incredibly painful. The only reason why I pushed through those days is because I knew that I was eventually going to become successful at trading. Like I didn't know when I'll be profitable, but one thing I know, and I know for sure, is that I will not quit. And if I don't quit, eventually I will be profitable. So that's what kept me going throughout the entire phase of like just depression. So yeah, everybody wants the view, but nobody wants the climb. Everybody wants quick profits, but nobody wants to put in the work that is required to get those profits. The market rewards those who stay in the game long enough to enjoy the profits. The biggest mistake that most traders make is thinking that the market is the enemy. It's not. It's your need to be right. It's your ego. Now, I used to fight the market all the time, right? I always felt like the market is something that I can win over, right? I can just impose my will on it and I will eventually succeed. So as a result, I will add on to losing positions. I would refuse to cut my losses because I just want to prove to the market that I am right and the market is wrong. But what I failed to realize is that the market is not wrong, it's not right, it just is. The market is just doing the thing that it knows how to do best, and that is move. Right? So by imposing my will to the market, I was actually burning myself. I was inflicting self-harm, right? And once again, after like reflecting and introspection, I realized that every single time that I'll blow an account, it's out of my urge to be right? It's my ego telling me that I need to defeat the market, if not, I'm unworthy. And that ego is bloody lying to you. Now, ego could be good at times. And the truth is, ego, just like the market, is not good or bad. Ego is good in terms of it allows you to push beyond your limits. It allows you to have ambition. But ego is bad when it actually prevents you from spotting your own blind spots, prevent you from seeing your own shortcomings and your weaknesses. And it just forces you to just try to be right rather than try to make money. Like I said, your goal as a trader is to make the best trades. And money will come as a byproduct. So if you are focusing on being right all the time, you are not going to take the best trade. And you're just going to repel money away. So the moment I learned how to cut losses fast and stay humble, everything changed. That is why nowadays I always say that you want to be incredibly arrogant in your analysis, but you want to be humble in your bias. You want to be flexible enough to just change your position when the market tells you to do so. You want to open your ears and listen to what the market is actively trying to tell you. You want to open your eyes to see what the market is trying to show you, rather than impose your will, impose your bias onto the market. Now, people often ask me, what is your win rate, Brad? Well, my win rate is irrelevant, and so is yours. Because my edge doesn't come from winning every single trade. It comes from making more when I'm right and losing less when I'm wrong. Like honestly, my win rate is hovering around 40% to 50%, which means that on average, I actually lose more trades than I win. But I'm still profitable is because when I'm winning, I make 50K, I make 60K. But when I'm losing, I'm only losing 10K, 5K, 20K. So as a result, my wins are always humongous. And this is why I can keep going when I'm in a losing streak. This is why I can continue to follow my trade plan and continue to execute when I see an opportunity, when I've lost 5 trades in a row, when I've lost 10 trades in a row. Because I know with every ounce of my being that the next trade could potentially be the one big trade that will pay off like the past few losses. And that's the trade that will allow me to be profitable at the end of this month. And if I stop and hesitate on before I take that trade, guess what? I just shot myself in the foot. And I could just end the month off negative. Because I was scared. Because I lacked courage. So it's not my win rate that made me profitable. It helps to a certain degree, but most importantly, it's my average R multiple. It's my risk to reward. It's my ability to make every single trade an intelligent risk to reward decision. It's my ability to spot trades with an asymmetric risk to reward that led me to getting outsized returns. So stop chasing a high win rate and start chasing high quality execution. That is how you become profitable in the long run. The number one quality that every single trader should develop is not intelligence. It's courage. It's the courage to size up when the edge is there. It's the courage to sit through drawdowns. It's the courage to let your winners run high. Now bear in mind that I didn't scale to 7 figures by being the smartest person in the room or by playing it safe. I scaled it by having the courage to follow my trading plan even when it hurts. Even through losing streaks, even when I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, I just kept executing. Because that's what trading is about. It's not about winning, it's not about losing, it's about executing, and it's about becoming a skilled trader. It's about continuing to execute and trust your plan, even though you have lost 10 trades in a row. So remember, courage beats knowledge. Because without courage, you would never be able to use what you know. As long as you are alive and you are a human, you can't eliminate emotions. The only people who are emotionless are buried 5 feet under the ground. Because as long as you are alive, as long as you are a human, not an AI agent, whatever bullshit, you cannot eliminate emotions. Because you will feel stuff, unless you're like a psychopath. But what you can do is to be aware of the emotions. You can be mindful of the emotions when they arise. And you can let them go. Now, fear used to control me. I used to hesitate when I see an entry opportunity. I used to exit a winning position early because I'm scared to hold it all the way up. And I'll close the trade to offset my previous loss. And then I would try to revenge trade and do all these like beginner mistakes that stems from emotion. The breakthrough came when I stopped trying to be emotionless and I started trying to be more mindful and be more aware. Now, if you think about it, every single action that you make in the market stems from an emotion. And every single emotion that you face stems from a thoughts. So if you can be conscious about what are the things that you think about when you're about to make a reckless decision, what are the behaviors you tend to take when you're about to make a reckless decision, what are the emotions that you face when you're about to make a reckless decision, what happens now is that you're able to spot the signs. You're able to spot the signal that you're about to make a bad decision. So once you're able to see these symptoms, these signs, these signals, whatever you like to call it, the next time these signs arise, you spot it, you'll be aware of it, you'll be mindful of it, and you just stop it. Stop it from allowing you to make a bad decision. Stop it from allowing you to enter into a trade recklessly and emotionally. I realized that whenever I start revenge trading, right, my heart rate always start pumping faster. My palms start getting a little bit sweaty, and I start like opening my eyes up, and my pupils start dilating, right? And when I realized that, that is when the next time the same signals arise, right, which means my heart rate stops going up. I start breathing in a very shallow manner. My pupils start dilating because I'm in the fight or flight instinct has triggered. The next time that happens, I'm aware of it. I just pause. I tell myself, you know what? This is not the time to execute. This is the time where I'm emotional and I'm irrational and I'm not logical or objective. So I should just stay out right now. And I can come back when I'm much more calm and I've came back to like a mental equilibrium. Then you can start trading again, right? So yeah, just by being mindful and aware of like the thoughts, the emotions, the actions that you tend to take when you are emotional, it helps you to build that awareness so you can be conscious the next time they arise. The next time the unconscious thoughts try to overwhelm you, you're training your conscious mind to be aware of them and you stop them from taking control of your trades, of your life. So remember, you don't control your emotions. You control how you respond to those emotions. Whether you respond to those emotions or not, that is within your control. The hardest truth I had to accept is that trading isn't about predicting price. It's about predicting yourself. It's about predicting your behavior, your actions, your belief, your tendencies, Because at a fundamental level, price, the market, it doesn't blow accounts. You do. The trader blow the account. Like what I mentioned earlier, I blew 7 accounts, failed so many funding challenges, lost thousands of dollars, not because I didn't understand the charts, not because of bad entries, not because of my strategy, but because I couldn't stop over trading after the bad entry. Because I kept revenge trading, trying to make back the money that I've just lost. And ironically, that caused me to lose even more money, to blow even more accounts. Once I became aware of that, I realized that all I need to do is to just stop trading after a losing streak and just take a break so that I can reset my mind and my focus back to the mental equilibrium state, right? Back to like a baseline. And then I can go back to the charts. Once I mastered my emotions, mastered myself, that is when results started coming. Not before, right? Not when I was still emotional, but after I have mastered my emotions. So like I said earlier, the market is simply neutral. But the market is simply a reflection of you, of your character, of your discipline. It exposes your greatest weaknesses. It exposes your deepest flaws. It exposes all your unconscious thoughts and patterns. So if you don't get aware of them, you won't be able to fix them. You can't fix what you don't see. You can't fix what you don't know. That is why it's so important for you to just be brutally honest with yourself and find out what are the mistakes that you tend to repeat, what are the emotions that seems to impair your decision-making skills, and just actively develop solutions to counteract those problems. Alright, so that's a bloody long video. Those are the lessons that took me from blowing 7 accounts to consistent 6-figure months. If you want more no bullshit lessons just like this, just share this video to the next struggling trader, the trader who needs to hear this. Because honestly, I go to YouTube analytics and I can kind of see like which videos get shared most often. So if you share this video to another trader, it means that you want me to make more of this video, right? So I'll make more of this video, right? Do more of what works. And if you found this valuable and you want to learn my exact complete mechanical trading system step by step, I'll put together this free course which you can check out right here. And yes, this is the same system that helped thousands of traders finally become profitable. So go in and watch that next. And as always, remember, you're just one trade away.